I think reading is really awesome because it both builds your mental patience, your intellectual flexibility, even as it kind of feeds the soul.
This is High Tech High Unboxed. I'm Alec Patton, and that was the voice of Derek Mitchell, CEO of Partners in School Innovation. This is Derek's fourth time on the show, and in today's special mini-episode, he's sharing his daily reading rituals. I approached Derek about making this episode because I agree with him about reading, that it builds my intellectual flexibility and feeds my soul. I had so much fun talking to Derek about how he reads, and I'm excited to share this episode with you. Let's get into it. This is going to be a day in Derek's reading life.
Sure. Before I get into it, I really do think we need kind of a reading renaissance in our country these days. Even I've noticed myself as I've gotten more into the social media and the fast media, ecosphere, just my patience for reading gets taxed. And so I think reading is really awesome because it both builds your mental patience, your intellectual flexibility, even as it kind of feeds the soul. And so I make a point of literally reading in 3 time points in a day. And pretty much I stick to it. I mean, there's every once in a while, the middle of the day gets tricky. And so I have this routine where I read a book in the morning. Just, it's on my bedstand. And usually my morning book is either a biography or a history. I'm reading The Making of the Second Ghetto now, which is about how Chicago kind of created the mental model we currently have now about urban ghettos. Really, really interesting stuff. Sometimes the morning reading is sort of deep history too. For instance, I read Churchill and the Jews. Was one of my recent reads in the mornings. So the main idea is to expand my brain with the morning reading. And it almost never fails, right?
And that one's on the stationary bike.
Right, exactly. You got it, exactly. So I read just as I wake up before I start the other morning rituals. But if I'm running late or I feel like I don't feel like it at that point in time, sometimes you have the sleep in the eye and you don't really want to start focusing on books. I take it to the stationary bike with me and do the reading there.
Are you going to the gym or do you have an in-home stationary bike?
I have it in my house.
Nice.
Actually, it's in my garage, a stationary bike right now.
Got it. Are you a coffee drinker?
Yes.
Coffee before book? How's that work?
Generally, the coffee is after.
Okay.
It's part of my setup to sort of start my morning meetings.
Got it.
So I just make sure I have my coffee with me before my first Zoom.
All right. And how long is that? Like how long is your morning read normally?
It varies, and it depends often on how much I'm enjoying the book. If I'm really enjoying it and it's getting to the end of the book, I start rationing the pages. I say, okay, you're only going to read 5 pages because I want the reading to last.
Yeah.
But for books like Churchill and the Jews, and probably the one I'm currently reading, I'm going to want to get through it. And so I won't slow myself down. I'll just read until I need to get myself showered. So typically it's, 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes. That's the morning. Biographies, histories, books about really great famous people, but usually it's really stuff I have interest in that I want to learn more about. The noontime reading is almost always related to work. Like the book I'm reading now is called Change Monster, which was recommended, I think, by your boss, Ben. He quoted it in some recent thing, and I thought, ooh, I got to get that book. And I put it on the top of the stack. And so I'm reading it now. And it's essentially about how change happens in corporations, right? What are the human characteristics that enable or impede organizations' ability to transform and change themselves? Really fascinating stuff. A lot of overlap with schools and districts, but also a couple, I'm finding some things that are actually different too, right? Profit motive kind of stuff, particularly.
Yeah, sure.
And the idea there is to get something that's useful for the doing of the work, some insight or some knowledge or some skill that could help me be better at my job after having read it.
Are you annotating this one? Are you reading with a pencil in hand?
No, no, not at all.
So you don't take note. You don't underline. You're not an underliner.
No, sometimes I dog ear a page.
Got it.
Like when I find a quote that I want to use or something I want to share specifically, a section with staff or a piece that I think would be a great piece for the team to jigsaw in our next PD. I just dog ear the pages.
Got it.
I'm sort of a purist with my books, so I try not to do anything that destroys them
Got it.
too much. So I'm okay dog earing, but I'm not okay underlining, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And how long are you reading for?
Oh, so the middle of the day reading is only the amount of time I have for lunch. So it's usually 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Sometimes it can be as few as 15 if I have a work meeting that gets overlapped with lunch. And that book generally is in my work bag or sitting on my desk at home. And I point out where the books are because it's important for the ritual, right? For the routine.
Well, yeah. I should also ask where do you sit to read for your lunchtime read?
Usually at my desk or in my car. I find I'm in the car often when I'm either going to or coming from a meeting. You know, the time overlaps with the lunchtime hour.
But you're parked in your car reading a physical book. You're not just driving and.
Yes, yes. I don't really do electronic books very much or even, listening to the book on tape.
Got it.
The evening reading is the fun stuff. So I'm a science fiction fantasy fan. And so my nighttime reading, which is really a ritual for me, is typically something that gives me great dreams and is really fantastical, right? I'm reading a great series now that is it's kind of, I don't know how it describes itself. It's definitely fantasy, but it's sort of military tactical fantasy, if you can imagine that. And the idea behind the evening reading is to disconnect my brain from all the work stuff, so to give myself a break and to sort of recharge my creativity and allow me to sleep, calmly and give, like I said, give me really fun dreams. Sometimes I reread fun books from my science fiction fantasy category in the evenings because I feel like I don't feel like risking when I finish a book and I want to be able to have a really disconnect. I go back to something that I really liked rather than pick up something new.
Sure.
And I find I only do that with the fun reading.
So where's that set up?
That book is also on my bedstand. So both the morning and evening readings are on my bedstand.
And how long do you usually read for, give or take?
Actually, that's funny you asked that because sometimes it can be a long time. I find it's 2 hours have gone by and I'm like, I gotta get to sleep. And other times I'm really tired when I'm going to bed, and so it's only just a few pages.
Yeah.
Right. I sort of say, hey, I'm going to find a good breaking point and read to that point, and then stop. So it varies a lot.
All right. Now, for somebody who's going to try the Derek Mitchell exercise program, can you give one or two or three starter books that might be a good, if you're thinking like, what's a good morning book? What's a good lunchtime book? What's a good evening book to get into this?
Yeah. Interesting. A good morning book was Obama's book, Dreams for My Fathers. That's a good morning book. It's breezy. And what's funny, you can hear his voice as you read it, which is kind of nice. And hell, I sort of miss hearing his voice. Be kind of fun to pick that one back up again. Now that I mention it, and it's interesting and thoughtful. So that would be I think a good starting book for the morning.
Yeah. He's narrating nature documentaries on Netflix now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to find some. Thanks for letting me know that. That's great news. I also think in terms of the afternoon reading, I probably would recommend Rudy Cruz's book, Just Connect, it's called. JUST Connect. And it's really about the importance of teachers, parents, and students to be in relationship with one another if you're really interested in getting results. And that's Dr. Rudy Crew. He was chancellor of New York City schools for a while. Really great transformational leader. And oh boy, for the science fiction fantasy, the evening readings, I would recommend Stranger in a Strange Land, which is a sort of a combination of science fiction fantasy, actually, um, and a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant book. It could even be a comedy. You find yourself laughing out loud reading it. But it's about the very first inhabitant of Mars. Um, Wonderful, wonderful book. So those are some good starter books to get started. If you haven't read any of those already.
Awesome. Derek Mitchell, thank you so much. This is perfect to head into summer with this.
Yeah, it's really. I love my summer reading. Very very excited for the summer to start because I can actually expand on the amount of time I spend in each grouping in the summers usually. So, which is very cool.
You got any books lined up?
Oh, are you kidding me? I have tons lined up. I always do. I'm actually right now looking forward to reading a book called Leading Equity. There's another podcaster. His name is Sheldon Akins. He's somewhere in the Inland Empire. He wrote this book called Leading Equity. And given what's happening in the political context, I'm dying to kind of read it and get a good sense of how much uptake there will be given where we are in the world and the challenges with DEI from the federal perspective, etc. So looking forward to that one.
Yes, indeed. Any sci-fi fantasy you got lined up?
The books I'm reading now are a series, and so it'll be the very next one in the series.
Oh yeah, and I don't think you said what that was called. What's the series called?
The books are by Brian McClellan, and he has two series. The book the reading now is called Blood of the Empire. It's a really wonderful science system in the books that I think folks will find a lot of fun and super interesting. But it's the second book in a second series, and there's a first series you're going to want to read first.
I'll put links for everything. Awesome.
Really excited. Renaissance of reading. Let's get at it, people. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We're making it happen. All right. Thanks so much, Derek.
You're very welcome, Alec. It's great to talk to you yet again.
High Tech High Unboxed is hosted and edited by me, Alec Patton. Our theme music is by Brother Herschel. Huge thanks to Derek Mitchell for this conversation. We have links to all the books we talked about in the show notes. Thanks for listening.